Hello everyone. Good morning students. A very welcome to all of you in my today's class. Today we will start a new chapter of your supplementary reader book, that is An Alien Hand, the chapter 5 called Golu Grows a Nose, which is written by the very famous writer Rudyard Kipling. Okay, so in this video we will only read the lesson, and in the second half of the video I'm going to explain the same in detail. So let's start. Students, like other chapters, this chapter is also divided into two parts. In the first half, you will be able to know that there was a time when the elephants had no trunk. Okay, so the chapter describes a baby elephant called Golu who has a bulgy nose and he is always full of questions. Once he goes to the Limpopo River to find out more about the crocodile's eating habit. And in the second half of the chapter, Golu meets the crocodile face to face. Then he gets the python's help when he needs it the most. And at last, Golu grows a long and a useful nose. So, see how it all had happened. Let's come and read the lesson first. Long, long ago, the elephant had no trunk. He had only a bulgy nose as big as a boot. He could wiggle it from side to side but couldn't pick up things with it. There was a baby elephant called Golu. He too had no trunk but only a bulgy nose as small as a small boot. Golu was full of questions. He asked his tall aunt, the ostrich, "Why don't you ever fly like other birds?" Then he asked his tall uncle, the giraffe, "What makes your skin so spotty?" He asked his huge uncle, the hippopotamus, "Why are your eyes always so red?" He asked his hairy uncle, the baboon, "Why do melons taste like melons?" The ostrich, the giraffe, the hippopotamus, and the baboon had no answers to Golu's questions. "Golu is a naughty baby," they said. "He asks such difficult questions." One day, Golu met the myna bird sitting in the middle of a bush, and he asked her, "What does the crocodile have for dinner?" The myna said, "Go to the banks of the great grassy Limpopo River and find out." Golu went home. He took 100 sugar canes, 50 dozen bananas, and 25 melons. Then he said to his family, "Goodbye. I am going to the great grassy Limpopo River. I'll find out what the crocodile has for the dinner." He had never seen a crocodile and didn't know what one looked like. He met a python and asked him, "Have you ever seen a crocodile? What does he look like? What does he have for dinner?" The python uncoiled himself from the branch of a tree but said nothing. Golu politely helped him to coil around the branch again and said goodbye to him. Golu moved on, eating sugar canes, bananas, and melons. After a few days, he reached the very edge of the great grassy Limpopo River. On the bank of the river, he saw a log of wood. It was really the crocodile who winked at him. "Excuse me," said Golu. "Have you ever seen a crocodile?" The crocodile winked again and lifted half of his tail out of the mud. "Come here, little one," said the crocodile. "Why do you ask such questions? I want to know. Come close, little one. for I am the crocodile." And he shed crocodile tears to show it was quite true. Golu was afraid, but he sat down on the bank and said, "You are the very person I was looking for. Please tell me what you have for dinner." "Come here, little one, and I'll whisper the answer to you," said the crocodile. Golu put his head down close to the crocodile's snout, and the crocodile caught him by the nose. "I think," said the crocodile, "today a baby elephant will be my dinner. Let me go." "You are hurting me, Mr. Crocodile," screamed Golu. The python, who had been quietly following Golu, came to the bank and said, "If you do not pull as hard as you can, the crocodile will drag you into the stream." Golu sat back on his little haunches and pulled and pulled. The crocodile slipped into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail, and he also pulled and pulled. Then the python coiled himself round Golu's stomach and said, "Let's pull harder." Golu dug in all his 4 legs in the mud and pulled. The nose kept on stretching. At each pull, the nose grew longer and longer, and it hurt Golu. The nose was now 5 feet long, but it was free at last. Golu sat down with his nose wrapped up in a big banana leaf and hung it in the great grassy Limpopo River to cool. Golu sat there for 2 days waiting for his nose to cool and to shrink. It grew cool, but it didn't shrink. At the end of the 2nd day, a fly came and stung Golu on the shoulder. Golu lifted his long nose and with it hit the fly dead. "Advantage number 1," hissed the python. "You couldn't have done it with a small nose. Try and eat a little now." Golu put out his trunk and plucked a large bundle of grass. He dusted it against his 4 legs and stuffed it into his mouth. "Advantage number 2," hissed the python. "You couldn't have done it with a small nose. Don't you think the sun is too hot now?" Golu scooped up some mud from the bank and slapped it on his head. "Advantage number 3," hissed the python. "You couldn't have done it with a small nose." "Thank you, Mr. Python," said Golu gratefully. "I'll remember all this and now I'll go back to my family." Written by Rudyard Kipling. So students, it is where the story has ended. Hope you all have enjoyed the story and have understood at least a little. I'll give you the explanation, the entire explanation of the story in the next part of the video. Till then, you must enjoy the animated version of the video ahead. So please, all of you, just look forward.
Golu grows a nose. This story tells us how the elephant got its trunk. Long ago, the elephant had a big protruding nose instead of a trunk. Golu was a baby elephant and a very curious one. He wanted to know why the ostrich could not fly like other birds. He was curious about why giraffes have spots on their skin. He asked the hippopotamus why his eyes were red. He also wanted to know why melons taste the way they do. None of the animals had answers to Golu's questions. They had no answers to his questions and called him naughty. One day, Golu asked the myna what crocodiles dine on. She told him to go to the grassy Limpopo River and find out for himself. Golu took lots of sugar canes, bananas, and melons and set off for the Limpopo River. On the way, he met a python. He asked the python what a crocodile looked like because he had never seen a crocodile. The python uncoiled himself but did not say anything. Golu walked on until he finally reached the grassy Limpopo River. He saw a log of wood on the grassy river bank and asked the log whether it had seen a crocodile. But the log was actually the crocodile himself. The cunning crocodile told Golu that he was indeed a crocodile and asked Golu to come closer. Golu was frightened, but he went and sat on the grassy bank. He asked the crocodile what he had for dinner. The crocodile told Golu he would whisper the answer in his ear. When Golu put his head close to the crocodile's snout, the crocodile caught his nose. The python had been following Golu. He told Golu to pull hard, otherwise the crocodile would drag him into the river. Both Golu and the crocodile pulled as hard as they could. Golu's nose kept getting longer with the pulling. The python coiled himself around Golu's stomach and together they pulled very hard. When Golu finally managed to pull his nose free, it was 5 feet long. Golu's nose hurt badly. He wrapped a banana leaf around his nose and dipped it in the water. After 2 days, the pain in his nose reduced, but his nose did not shrink. When a fly stung Golu on his shoulder, he slapped it with his long nose, which was now a trunk. He plucked a big bundle of grass easily using his trunk and put it in his mouth after dusting it off. Next, he picked up some mud and splashed it on his head. The python helped Golu see the many benefits of having a trunk. Golu thanked the python and left to return to his family.
Okay, students, that's all in today's class. Hope you all liked the animated video too. Soon I will be back with the next part of the video and the explanation. Till then, you just take care of yourself and your loved ones. Many thanks for watching and keep learning, all of you.